and welcome back to my podcast. Today we are interviewing a legendary Canadian guitarist, Jeff Smallwood. Let's go!
Hey, Zander.
Hi, how are you doing today?
Good, man. How's it going?
It's going very well, and you?
I'm well, thank you. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah. I'm very excited because you're my first musical guest. So that's
I am.
Yeah,
Wow.
that's pretty
Okay.
cool.
Well, I better not mess it up.
It's gonna be trust me, it's gonna be great. Okay, so
Great, man.
like I said, how have you been doing? Over the years. Last time I saw you was
Well,
2018, I'm pretty sure, or 19.
yeah,
So how have you been?
Good. I've been good. I haven't been doing a whole lot because we had to halt our tour, like everybody else had to stop working. So I've been working in my studio at home, which is kind of what you see around me. And I haven't been able to play many shows. I've had a couple, but they were kind of weird and drive-ins and stuff like that. So I'm kind of waiting around for us to be allowed to play again, which is kind of weird because it's like a really big famous band, but we're not allowed to play.
Yeah. Sorry to interrupt you, but we can't see you.
You can't? How come?
I don't know. Hold on. If you go there, you are there. Wow, your studio looks amazing.
Well, it's a little bit of a mess now. You can't see the other side. I just shoved everything over there.
Can you tell us about your studio? So, I see that you have a bunch of pictures there. Can you tell us about them?
I can. The studio. I built the studio on my property. It was originally there was a barn back here when I was a kid. And it got kind of rickety and old, so we had to tear it down. And we built this garage. It's 3 cars long, and we didn't own a car back then. So it just kind of got filled up with junk over the years. And I moved away. And then when I finally moved back, I wanted a place to hang out and a place to work and a place to play. And my wife really wanted me to have a place to take all this junk out of the house and put it in somewhere else. So I built this studio inside what used to be a barn. And I put all my pictures and memories from all the tours and stuff and some gold records and things. And I do all my work out here. My studio's out here.
That's amazing. So is it okay if we get into our questions now?
Of course.
And, sorry, I forgot to ask you this. Is it okay if we do rapid fire questions at the end?
Sure. Yeah, I don't have a tendency to talk too fast, but I'll try.
And is it okay if before the rapid fire questions, is it okay if you play guitar for us?
Sure. Yeah, I'd be happy to.
That's awesome. Okay, so are you ready for the questions?
I'm ready for the questions, man.
Okay, here we go. So, can you tell us about how you first got involved in music as a child, and how old were you when you started to play guitar?
Okay, I started in music in grade 3. So back in I guess that would be 1967, 68, I guess, somewhere around there. Maybe even 67. And we had to take gym every day. We had to take music every day back then. Everybody in the school. So they all started us on recorders, like they start all kids. And some kids thought it was dumb, and some kids were okay at it, and some were terrible at it. But I was really good at it, and I really liked it. And I had asthma a lot when I was a kid, so I wasn't a very good athlete like my brothers were. So I really didn't have much to do. So playing the recorder was really cool. And we had a music teacher who was, he really liked music, and he really wanted kids to learn. And he put together a recorder group, and we specialized in playing Baroque music, and we got a bursary from the Canadian government to play shows at other schools and to tour. So by the time I was in grade 7, I was already on tour, playing the recorder.
That's awesome. So who were some of your favorite bands you listened to as a kid, and has your taste in music changed over the years?
Well, look, when I was a kid, like I said, I was home alone, home a lot with my dad. My dad had lost a leg in the war, so he stayed home a lot. And my mom had to work, and I was home with asthma a lot, so I listened to the radio. So I really didn't know what I was listening to. By the time I started liking certain bands, I really went for the John Denver and James Taylor and Jim Croce, singer songwriter guys with a guitar and singing. But I also liked, like Alice Cooper and Deep Purple. So kind of went from one extreme to the other. And I think that my musical tastes have changed probably mostly because I had kids. And as my kids, when they were young, I had to listen to all the movies they listened to and listen to the music that was in the movies. And then as they got a little, and that was easy to do, but as they got a little older, they wanted to play their music in my car. So they were playing, stuff that, and I started to sound like my dad saying, what the hell is that stuff? I don't want to listen to that. But it turned out to be really cool. So I started learning about new music from them. And you'd think a musician would be open to everything, but no, I was becoming my dad.
Do you have a special guitar brand, and how big is your guitar collection?
You mean a special guitar brand that I really like more than the others? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, like a specific, like your favorite guitar brand.
Well, if I was talking about acoustic guitars, I guess my favorite acoustic guitars would be made by a company called Collings. They're in Texas, and they only started making guitars in the 90s, the 1990s, so last century, but not far into the century. And I learned about them from another guitar player named Lyle Lovett, and I had never seen one before. And when I got a chance to play one, I realized, wow. So they are my favorite ones. For electric guitars, I guess I'm like most guys. I go for the Fenders and the Gibsons.
And so how big is your guitar collection?
Well, there's a lot of them. I don't really call it a collection because I had to make a rule a long time ago. Right now, there's about 55, maybe 60 of them. And I had to make a rule that if I bought a guitar, I had to make enough money playing it in 3 months or I have to sell it. Otherwise, the house would just be full of guitars. And remember, my wife told me, get that stuff out of the house. So I didn't want to have it all, hanging around in other people's studios. So I kept the numbers down.
Um, so what separates the good guitarists from the great guitarists?
That's a good question. I think the great guitarists, first of all, I know a lot of really good guitarists, and I know some great guitarists. And I think the difference between the good ones and the great ones is that the great ones are still fans of music. They still love it, and they still have heroes. And when they play, the increments that they get better in have less to do with what other people can hear and more to do with what they feel. So I think that all musicians try to. There's three things when you're playing an instrument. You think one thing, your fingers do a second thing, and your ears hear a third thing. And very often it's not the same thing. So your brain is thinking one thing, and you want to do this, you want to sound like your hero, but your fingers suck. And then you think you're hearing something good, and you might not be. And the really great guitar players get all those three things lined up, and it takes a long time to get there.
A lot of practice.
It does take a lot of practice, but that too is the difference between good guitar players and great guitar players. Great guitar players love to practice, but practice only makes perfect if you practice perfectly. So when you practice, doing an hour of scales is only for muscles. That's like a runner doing push-ups. Yeah, you got to do push-ups, but to really hone your craft, it has more to do with the fine tuning of your legs and the fine tuning of your running. Same thing with playing guitar. You got to love to practice, and you have to know what to practice. And sometimes it's not just scales, you know.
Okay. That's awesome. And so you're a legendary guitarist in Quebec. Do you prefer playing with multiple bands or single artists? Like instead of sticking with one band?
Well, that's an amazingly good question. I would love to play in one band if the band played all the time. The problem with being a guitarist uh, in Canada, never mind just in Quebec, it's even worse if you're in one area. The problem with that is this country's not big enough for one band to play all the time. So in my particular case, I would do records with a band that I didn't know. They'd hire me because they liked what they heard, and we'd go on tour. But the tour would last maybe a year. Within that year, there's a lot of downtime. So I had to do maybe TV work or studio with other bands. So it's kind of a long-winded answer to say you can't really get away with playing in just one band around here, anyway, in this country, because it's not big enough and not enough places to play for one band to go all the time. So I think personally, because I like it, the diversity of it, I like playing in lots of bands at the same time, but not too many because it's a lot of stuff to remember.
Okay, and I know that you've performed with many great artists like James Taylor, Rock Voisin, and now with Celine Dion. Can you tell us who else you played with? Like you said, when you were in seventh grade, you started your first tour when you were only in seventh grade. So who
Yeah.
else did you play with?
Well, I got really lucky in my life. I got a chance to play with Roger Hodgson from Supertramp and Art Garfunkel from Simon and Garfunkel. When I worked in a lot of studios, and I got a chance to play with a lot of real famous guys. With Ivan from Men Without Hats, Colin Hay from Men at Work, Gary U.S. Bonds. I got a chance to. I didn't actually get a chance to play with Bruce Springsteen, but I almost did. I got a chance to play with the band. With Jimmy Vivino from the Conan O'Brien show. So there's a long list of guys. Lady Gaga is another one I got a chance to play with. Simple Plan, those kinds of bands. So it was fun.
That's awesome. So you've spent so much time on the road or like in a studio with all these great artists. You must have had hundreds of stories. Are there a couple of good ones that you could talk about right now?
Well, yeah, there's a lot of stories, and a lot of them can't be repeated.
Oh no!
But there's some good ones. I remember I was on tour with Rock Voisin, and we were. This is back when the band was playing huge shows in Europe. And one time before a show, we had a ritual before the show. I was the band leader, so I would crack open a bottle of wine. We'd get all the musicians together in Rock's dressing room. We'd pour the wine, have a drink, and then everybody get ready to go. So we have, a sip of wine. Everybody heads for the stage. And Rock says to me, he says, come here. I said, yeah, what's up? He says, yeah, I'm not feeling very well right now. I feel sick. And I said, whoa, really? Is it bad? He said, yeah, it's pretty bad. He said, look, go upstairs and let's start the show on time, because Rock didn't like to start late. So 8:00 sharp, we started. So I said, okay, well, you're coming, right? He says, yeah, well, look, if I'm not there when you start, you sing one of the songs or play one of your own songs. And I said, dude, I am not going to go up there with 35,000 screaming fans and start singing one of my songs when they're waiting to hear you sing your song. So he said, God, okay. So I went upstairs and I told him, do not be late. Sure enough, with about 5 seconds to go, he comes up there and I got like sweat pouring down my face. So that's just one of the fun things that happen.
That's awesome. So I always wondered what is like when you're on a bus touring with your bandmates. What is it like when you travel, and do you get to take out your guitar and share some of your own songs with them?
Yeah, well, touring on a bus is it's I mean, they're beautiful vehicles and they're very well made and they have gorgeous interiors, but you got to be very careful because it's everybody's house. It's like it's like
Yeah.
having five brothers all of a sudden. When you're used to owning a house with 10 rooms, now you're on one bus with 10 guys. So you're jammed in there. So you don't have a lot of room to be pulling out guitars and playing. I guess if there's only four or five guys on your bus, you do have the space. Otherwise, you kind of have to divide yourselves up in the bus. There's usually a big place in the front with three or four TVs on the walls, and that's where the kitchen area is. Then it's separated by the beds, and there's doors that close that off. And then there's the back where there's more TVs and stuff. So, yeah, we do get to exchange a lot of musical ideas, but that usually happens in the hotels, not so much on the bus. The bus, usually you get on there after a show, and there's usually some catering, some food that they bring in. You have a snack and maybe watch a bit of a movie and you go to sleep because you might have to drive all night and get up the next day. And there you are. You need to shower, you need to get ready, and then sound check. So I like the bus. It's comfortable, but you really have to be respectful of all the guys around you. You know, imagine if you had five brothers in the same room, you know, which is pretty much what it adds up to.
So, you said that you usually, do your song ideas in the hotels, right?
Yes.
Do they ever take, did they ever take one of your song ideas and actually put it in a song? Like, did you actually just sit down there, play a little song, and then they're like, "Hey, we could work with this."
Yes, I've done that with Rock Was In several times. We did a couple of Christmas songs together for his Christmas album. We did a song when he wanted to propose to his wife, and we wrote that song and recorded it, and we got caught by her while we were writing it. She came into the house, and we had to pretend we're doing something else. So I've done that with Rock. A lot of the artists that I worked with, over the course of writing songs, I would contribute a lot of ideas, some lyrics and stuff. As in a songwriting partnership, I've had one songwriting partner. His name was Jeff Nystrom, and we wrote a whole bunch of songs together, and they appear on some of my albums. But yeah, it's happened with a couple of guys I've worked with, but I've not had one turn around and say, write me a song, which would be great. I'd love to, but they got their own ideas. You know, there's no shortage of ideas coming out of those guys' heads or those girls' heads either.
What do you like the most about what you do? And do you like to write music or play in front of people?
Well, it's a different feeling. I mean, I love to play live. It's exciting. You know, there's a lot of people and you immediately feel, you know, a reaction from what you're doing. I like to write music. I find when I write music, I like to write about things that are very, very simple. If somebody says something to me and it rings a bell in my head, you know, someone, for instance, said to me, you know, times are changing. And I thought, yeah, they are changing. And I started to write a song just based on what that guy had said. I think it was my wife who said it. And I started to write a song about that. So, when I write, I feel a certain way. And when I'm playing my music, I want others to feel the same way. So I'm really trying to communicate. So the writing part for me and the recording part of that song and the playing part are almost one line for me. If it stops at the recording, it's like I don't get a chance to finish the potatoes with the meat. You know what I mean? I almost get the same feeling from all of them. Yeah, I don't really prefer one to the other, although playing live is an awful lot of work. You got to travel a lot, and you got to put a lot of hairspray in, and you know, that kind of stuff.
So Celine is one of the world's greatest performers. What was it like to be asked to join her tour, and how did it happen?
Well, I've worked with her, in fact, for quite a few years. I recorded several of her albums in the past. I never was a band member, but her producers knew me, so they would call me and I really specialize in acoustic instruments, so they would put them on there. For the first couple of albums, they kept having to introduce me to her. and she wouldn't remember who I was.
Oh,
So after a while, she was touring and she did a big show up on the Plains of Abraham. This would have to be in 2013, maybe something like that. And there was like 400,000 people there, and her band wasn't able to do that show. So she got some musicians from Montreal that she had already worked with to put together a band with an orchestra to do that show. And it was a real thrill. I mean, it was thrilling, and she's a huge artist. So we did the show, and she said to me, she always just called me Smallwood all the time. She said, Smallwood, that's you rock, man. You're a killer. And I said, great. So that was it. I thought, well, that was it. That was my 15 minutes with Celine. And then several years later, they wanted to go on this world tour, and they were in Las Vegas. And she told her band leader, I want that guy to play in the band. She just said, I want him. And
that's
he
awesome.
called up. He said, do you want to, we want to ask you if you'd like to join the band. So I said, let me think of it. And I said, yes. It took about 3 seconds. So I was really thrilled, but really thrilled.
Can you walk us through your Celine concert day routine from sound check to showtime, and what does it feel like when the concert begins and when Celine walks onto the stage?
Okay, our official day actually starts at 2:30. Whatever you want to do before 2:30, that's fine. But 2:30, your bus picks you up in front of the hotel. That's it. Now we have on tour 11 buses. The band has 2 buses. The rest are for the crew and some of the other, staff. So our buses pick us up at the hotel. We go to the venue. At the venue, you go to your dressing room, and then sound check is at 4:45. That's when sound check starts. Our crew prefers that we don't go and hang around on stage because they're working and they have to test all the drones. We have drones flying around and they don't want them bumping into musicians. So 4:45, we go on stage and we go through a sound check until 5:45. 5:45, we break for dinner. So dinner's at 6. From 6 to 7, you eat. And then from 7 to 8, the girls will do their makeup. We have a bunch of girls in the band too. So they'll be doing their makeup and their hair. The guys will be, goofing around, doing what they do. I like to walk around in the venues and buy, like jerseys and T-shirts from the hockey teams that play there. So I got this this jacket I'm wearing right now from one of those things. And then showtime at 8. So I guess the 7 or 8 minutes before showtime, when we approach the stage, we stand at the side stage and no one can see us. So we're looking at these gigantic screens, and they have dance competitions before the show. So the cameras are going all around, people are dancing and goofing off. Then we get on our respective areas in the stage, and we have big screens that cover the front of the stage, so you can't see us. And Celine comes up from an elevator, and it's very exciting, it gets electric, and when the lights come down, the audience gets real loud. But when she comes up on that elevator and the lights come up, the volume that they scream at is so loud, and it's so exciting. The whole place becomes electric, and you can't wait to start playing that first note. So that's what it feels. That's a whole day.
I know what it feels like. How high the level gets.
Right.
Yeah, I was there.
That's right.
Yeah. So it is very difficult to make it in the music industry. What advice can you give a kid who wants to follow their dream? And there are people, like even parents, who think that they're, just wasting their time.
Okay. This is not a really long answer, and it's going to sound a little bit weird. For the kids, I say, number one, if you're going to play the guitar or play the violin or whatever it is you're going to play, don't put it away. Always leave it out. Now, don't leave it on the couch where your brother's going to sit on it or it's going to fall over. Because if it's work to take the thing out of the case and tune it up, you're not going to do it. What you want to do is you want to be able to grab the thing right away and play it. And every time you play it, you have to remember those 3 things I told you about: thinking, playing, and listening. You got to always try to line those 3 up. Even it doesn't matter how simple what you're playing is, and try to imagine every time you play that you are playing in front of somebody. And as often as you can, play in front of somebody. And play like you mean it. Play like there's 10,000 people there. And even if you have to practice in front of a mirror and throw your fist in the air, believe what you're doing. Because if you don't believe what you're doing, when you get there, nobody will believe you're doing it. Okay, that's for the kids. Chase the dream. Don't chase it blindly, chase it. Get an education though. Not to fall back on, you need an education anyway. So get one. Number two, for the parents, don't, and this is the most important thing because parents always ask me, I have kids and they were little kids like you at one time. And I would have to take them to hockey the same way your dad takes you, or to football, or whatever it is they play. And invariably a parent would say, well, I want my kid to play the piano. What should I do? And my answer is, well, does your kid want to play the piano? Start there. I say, rent a piano or rent a guitar, see what they do, but don't bug them. Let them play something, and don't always hover over them and comment and say this and that. And do not put them in music lessons right away, because that's just another grown-up at the end of the day rapping on a kid's knuckles to practice, to do this, to do that. When the kid wants lessons, he'll ask. And when the kid wants you to hear something, he'll say, hey, mom, hey, dad, check this out. And away they go. That's when you should notice. Otherwise, let them learn, man. They'll learn. You don't hover over your kid when he's in the backyard practicing with a soccer ball. Don't hover over him when he's practicing the piano.
Well, because it's funny that it's funny that you said that, because because I really wanted to play piano, like
Right.
like badly, because
Right.
of my uncle's band and all that stuff. I was like, imagine if I could play hit the piano for one of his songs one day.
Yeah.
My friend's mom, she was getting rid of a piano, and I was like, hey mom, can we get that piano? And then she was like, you know what, sure. So we got the piano, we put it in the garage, and it was very cold in the garage. So I had like a heater fan, like a heater right there, and I was just playing. So it took, I'm pretty sure, a year before I went into piano lessons.
Right. Yeah.
So
Because
yeah.
you want to be sure, you want to play, you want to have fun with it. And when you get to a point where you can't quite get over a certain thing that you want to learn, that's when you need help. And that's when you want lessons. I knew about the piano, by the way, because your mom and dad told me.
So you host a weekly virtual concert. Can you tell us about that, and how people can watch?
Yes, we started doing that way back last April when they locked down all the restaurants and stuff. And a buddy of mine who owns a restaurant just down the street from where I live, he called me up, and I've known him since college, and he called me up and he said, Jeff, could you do a one-off concert for me, a 1 hour thing at your studio to announce my takeout food business, because people couldn't come in anymore to the restaurant. So I said, well, yeah, sure, I could do that. And the place was called Cunningham's. So I said, we could do that. I said, but let's do it at the restaurant. Like, it'll be empty. We'll put the chairs on the tables. He said, yeah, but that looks so sad. And I said, yeah, but people will see that there's still something going on, and they'll recognize the place. So we went down there and we started it, and people started tuning in, because we had announced it on the Facebook page. And by the end, I guess about 15 minutes into the show, somebody sent a comment in, on Facebook when you're live, and said, hey, Jeff, I'll give you $100 if you play this certain song off of one of your records. And I said, $100? And I could use $100, right? Because I'm not working. But I said, you know what? Why don't you give the $100 to the food bank, and I'll play the song anyway? So he said, okay. I played the song. And by the end of the 1 hour, I think we had collected, $1,800 or $1,900 for the food bank.
Wow.
And on top of that, people kept saying, when are you going to do it again? When are you going to do it again? So my buddy Jimmy said, so how about next week? I said, okay. So we came back, and it got bigger and bigger. And finally, two of my other friends called up one day, and actually friends, and they know your uncle too. As a matter of fact, they used to play in a band with your uncle.
Really?
Yeah, they did, man. It was way back when. Did your uncle ever tell you about Simon Says?
Yes, yes.
Okay, well, that's the band they played in, and
Really?
it's yeah, Ozzy Levesque and Matt Cool, and they own. Well, Matt Cool owns a video production company, and he said, I could bring my cameras down and my audio, and we could make you look and sound a lot better. And I said, okay. Now it's become. I think on our biggest night we had 10,000 hits. Uh,
Wow.
so we just keep doing it, and we have. It's become kind of like we lost our other hosts, so my son hosts sometimes, and Matt and Oz are in the other room doing their technical stuff, and we all chit chat, and I play songs and some of my originals and some covers, and it just got bigger and bigger, and it's this goofy kind of mishmash of things, and we just it's almost like 3 or 4 college students in a power failure waiting for the power to come on and acting like a bunch of clowns. So that's pretty much what it is. And you can catch it on my Facebook page. The link is there, and a Facebook on Cunningham's Pub Facebook page. So
We'll put it right here, probably.
soon
Yeah,
we're
my
going to
dad
be
will
opening
put it
up my
right there.
website probably next week. Yeah, for sure. And then we'll see how it goes. We're going to keep going as long as we can. Probably when everything opens up again, I'll try to continue the show from the road, but it'll be a lot harder because there's a lot goes
Yeah.
into it. But that's the story of that show. It's a lot like yours. We decided one day, well, what the hell? Let's try something.
So, we're ready for the rapid fire questions, but is it okay if you play some guitar for us?
Sure. Well, I just by some coincidence. Oh, look, I have one. Do you remember I was telling you about the phrase that I had heard my wife say, "Times are changing,"
Yeah.
and I thought I'm going to write a song called "Times Are Changing." So this is what it sounds like. You ready?
Yes.
Well, times are changing, they're changing fast. But sometimes the changes never last. We change so often, we change our lives. And one time, I even changed my wife. A change of attitude, a change of pace. Well, these simple changes really change your face. You change your speed, and you change the rate. Well, if you change too much, well, you might lose your place. I got change for this, I gotta change for that. I don't change enough, so I just go flat. So I changed my house and I changed my car. These two changes didn't get me that far. In the land of the blind, a one-eyed man is king. Well, I guess that one-eyed changes everything. You used to laugh a lot. Well, that changed too. Well, I guess you changed your mind. Now your mind changed you. Can you change your spare? Can you change your spare? You gotta check the pressure. You're gonna need some air. Cause the grass is greener just over there. And if we don't change soon, we just won't care. Everything changes and it sneaks up fast. Well, I have a sneaky feeling these changes won't be the last. It's time to change. I hope we change in time. Cause times are changing fast and they're changing all the time.
That was awesome.
Yeah, man, that's one of the tunes on one of my records.
That was amazing.
I got another one for you if you want.
Sure.
Okay, well, listen. You'll recognize this tune. You ready?
Yeah.
I would be lying if I said I'm fine. I think of you at least 100 times. Cause in the echo of my voice I hear your words just like you're there. I still come home from a long day, so much to talk about, so much to say. I love to think that we're still making plans in conversations that'll never end, in conversations that'll never end. Well, courage, don't you dare fail me now. I need you to keep away the doubt. I'm staring in the face of something new. You're all I've got to hold on to. So courage, don't you dare fail me now. Not one to hide from the truth I know. It's out of my hands, but I won't let you go. There's no replacing the way that you touch me. I still feel the rush. Sometimes it drowns me till I can't breathe, thinking that it's only in our memories. But then you talk to me like I did then, in conversations that'll never end. In conversations that'll never end. Well, courage, don't you dare fail me now. I need you to keep away the doubt. I'm staring in the face of something new. You're all I've got to hold on to. So courage, don't you dare fail me now. 'Cause it's not easy when you're not with me. This world madness goes faster now. And it's a train wreck, but I won't crash yet. Long as your echo never fades out. So courage, don't you dare fail me now. 'Cause it's not easy when you're not with me. This world of madness goes faster now. And it's a train wreck, but I won't crash yet. Long as the echo never fades out. Well, courage, don't you dare fail me now.
That was amazing.
You remember that from the show?
You're so good, honestly.
Well, she sings it a whole lot better than I do.
So, are you ready for the rapid fire questions?
All right, let me put this guitar down so I don't drop it when I panic. Ready?
Yeah. Okay. So, what is your all-time favorite song?
Oh, man. Letter in the Mail.
What is your favorite city to perform in?
Oh, man. New York.
Who is the best guitarist of all time? Besides you.
I'm not in the list. Let's come back to that one. I can't answer. There's too many good ones.
Okay. What is your favorite pre-concert meal and post-concert beverage?
Post-concert beverage would be a Diet Coke, and the pre-concert meal would be a salad with a souvlaki.
Nice. What was the best concert you've ever performed at?
That would be Bercy in Paris.
You are from Montreal. Who has the best smoked meat?
Dude, Schwartz's.
If you could have performed with any band, past or present, who would it be?
Well, I'm gonna say two, the Beatles and James Taylor. But I did play with James Taylor, so the Beatles.
Awesome. If you were not a musician, what would you have been? And what would you be?
A lawyer.
If you were, oh, sorry, name the one venue you would like to perform at.
The Rose Bowl.
And last question here. Give me 3 words that sum up Jeff Smallwood.
Oh man, happy, curious, and satisfied.
That is awesome. Thank you so much for joining my podcast.
Hey Z man, I'm happy. I'm glad, man. Congratulations. I think
It
it's
was
great what you do.
amazing. It was amazing to have you on. Hopefully we can, meet again.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And because, can't
Well, listen,
COVID.
the next time you come out to a show, we were a couple of goofs the last time. We came out, got you the set list, we did a whole bunch. We didn't even get a picture together.
I know. My mom forgot to take out her phone. Like
what a couple of dorks. Like, what's the problem there? Well, we can't really call her a dork, so I'm calling you a dork.
Okay. So, thank you again very much for joining my podcast.
All right, Z-Man. Thank you for calling. It's really been fun.
It was really fun. So, like I said, I hope that we could, join, with each other again.
Okay, man. I'm looking forward to it.
And hopefully, if it's okay after COVID, if I could go see your studio.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, bring your uncle.
Okay. So thank you so much for joining again.
All right, Z-Man.
Have a great time. Stay safe.
See you later.
See ya.
Bye.